Friends tell me if only Kofi was still with us to address the pressing issues of the day. His was a very special type of leadership. He was wise and compassionate. At the same time, he thought innovatively out of the box, building trust and reaching out to all those needed to find solutions. We hope that the lecture series will be inspired by the legacy of Kofi and galvanize the same type of leadership infused by the values of the United Nations so nearby.
Kofi was a quiet man amongst very loud men. His was an era where there were conflicts in Africa, his own region, in the Middle East, many other parts of the world. But his quiet words cut through, in many cases ending conflicts, in others bringing the different sides to the table. And it was that leadership which was able to sort of look beyond the surface to find points of connection, points of common interest, which made him such an extraordinary figure. But he wasn't just the consummate diplomat. He was also a man who used the pulpit of the United Nations to bring attention to big global issues, like the issues of youth, the issues of climate before many others had become aware of them. And it was that combination of astute diplomat, intensely human being, and visionary about the future, which made him such an extraordinary Secretary-General.
Kofi Annan was a man with an enormous charisma. I first had the good fortune of meeting him when I was 31 years old, and I became his assistant when he was in the former Yugoslavia. And so I was able to watch his leadership style close up, and it was unique. He was always a man of enormous courtesy, always willing to include everyone in the room in the discussion at hand, never felt that just because you were a junior official that you didn't have something to say. And as such, he was particularly inclined to listen to young people, as I was once many years ago. And what really stands out also was that he was a man of firmness, of principle. He could be exceedingly direct with his interlocutor, but in a way that's almost astonishing, never cause offense, never have the person ill at ease, and yet also, as I said, never mincing words. He would be very clear about what his position was. An extraordinary man. The lecture series aims at one, maintaining a connection with Kofi Annan, with the way in which he approached the world, to inspire those who we invite to think about Kofi Annan's legacy, and two, to promote leadership of that style, a style that worked for him and worked for the United Nations. And I think most of all, we'd want to encourage other leaders to be as close as one can be to this rather unique figure in history, and certainly in the UN's history.
As somebody who joined or who started working on international peace and security at the time that Mr. Nane was Under Secretary-General for Peacekeeping, his leadership was inspirational to me. I noticed him at the time of the tragedy of Rwanda and the genocide as well, and I think most of us also agree that this was the lowest point for United Nations. And I saw how he navigated in a very humble manner the rebirth or the remaking of the UN after that disaster as well. For me, I sat up when I saw that and I said, well, this is what leadership looks like also, that you will stand be counted and be judged, but also be responsible in making sure that we don't see another kind of tragedy like this. For me, that was inspirational at a both a personal and at a professional level at the time that I was beginning to work out my own journey. To have him as a figure to look up to helped sort of shape my own thinking of what one then could do to become that kind of leader as well.
The sheer scale of the issues that the world is grappling with today, climate change, the COVID pandemic, growing food insecurity, renewed conflicts and instability, can paralyze us and can discourage leaders in governments, civil society, business from taking the first steps towards building solutions. Kofi Annan, however, was never intimidated by the magnitude of the challenges he faced head-on. When the world dealt with the very deadly toll of HIV/AIDS on populations that did not have access to antiretroviral therapy, especially in Africa, he mounted a campaign to facilitate this access by building a war chest that became the Global Fund, and by bringing all relevant actors, including big pharmaceutical companies, around the table. This ability to build trust and coalitions was on full display in the summer of 2006 when Kofi Annan embarked on a tour of the Middle East to ensure implementation of the Security Council resolution that asked for a cessation of hostilities between Lebanon and Israel. He was received everywhere in the region with trust and respect, in Amman, in Beirut, in Jerusalem, in Doha, in Tehran, in Jeddah, in Alexandria. This ability to build trust, to earn respect, this legacy of courage, determination, and patience should inspire our leaders today.